Hey, everybody, welcome to the Particle Accelerator podcast, where we talk to future thinking business leaders about how to accelerate their business. I'm here with Vadim. Vadim, thanks for being here, and please introduce yourself to everybody.
Thanks for inviting us. I'm excited to be here. So my name is Vadim, and I'm CEO at a company called Diffco and also CTO at AI deep tech startup called Adam and Eva.
Cool. So tell me a little bit more about Diffco. What do they do?
Yeah, Diffco is a software development consultancy firm that do different complicated type of development project, typically for mid-sized enterprises and growth stage startups. So we help businesses to build the tech components for their future products.
Oh, that's great. And then what about this product that you mentioned, this AI product you're talking about?
Yeah, Adam and Eva is R&D project that was worked on for a couple of years, and now we're bringing this to production. So this is a completely new architecture for the product. It's a near-symbolic architecture that can accelerate up to 1,000 times faster than current LLMs, and add a transparency layer explaining what is going on with the actual decision-making tree for the any kind of artificial intelligence type of approaches. So it's general purpose model.
Awesome. Well, I'm excited to get into our podcast today with those experiences in mind. First question for you. What technology innovations are you betting on to drive your business growth?
It's a wonderful thing. So I think in a lot of cases, I wouldn't be surprised to say that, hey, AI is probably the good bet here because a lot of things is probably like majority of the acceleration that actually happening today with the software development, I think is coming from AI. In different angles of AI, some people will just use a Copilot-like products, but in more cases, it will be more complicated type of systems that will allow to drive this automation process, or like writing something for you. It could be statement of work, or it could be an actual development product. So I think that layout, how the software development will be done in like a year or two, will be completely different from what we have today.
Yeah, I tend to think of it as in the digital world, if there were assets of manpower, things people needed to do that were digital, I call it digital cart pushing, right? Like they're more manual in nature. And if you wanted to do it at scale, you needed a lot of human bodies. I think those things, will be susceptible to some AI disruption. But you also have the asset of skill, and I don't quite see AI disrupting asset of skill as much as the asset of manpower. That's probably a clumsy differentiator, but I wonder what you think.
I would say this also will be challenged. And the main question is how good it will be. And I think, to be honest, again, today we really early on in this journey, and we will see much more progress in the coming years. And knowing what is going on with new type of approaches that are now currently in development will be completely different playbooks probably going forward into in the next couple of years. And I'm sure and the skill level also will be challenged, because again, the question is how good you can be in certain things, and it will be some areas where again human judgment is important, but I think skill is absolutely replaceable, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm. So what do you think the most significant gaps between your ambitions and realities are today? Like, where do you think you just teed me up pretty well here for my next question? Where do you think those gaps exist in where you want to go?
I think it's like when the LLMs as we know it launched to the public, we saw everyone was like, hey, it will replace humans, etc. And I think now it's not true. So it will not replace humans. It will enhance humans. So it will allow you to do more. So if previously you was able to write, let's say, thousands line of code per day. I'm just making an example, but still, now you will be able to do maybe 10,000, maybe 20,000. Maybe you can do work of 10 people or 20 people in some cases. Again, I'm not saying, hey, it's possible to do for every direction and for every example. But in our tests, even last year, we was pushing more than 30% of the actual like production code with AI wherever we can. But in going forward, I think we'll come closer to 80% in some cases. Again, not perfect for everything. Absolutely, like it will not solve every problem today, but it definitely will try to solve more and more, and will come to this infinite number where it's like actual humans that can do this with, is really low. So it will be probably mostly AI based.
Yeah. Do you have any sense of what it is that needs to happen to go from that 30% to 80% enhanced?
I think just to compare current state of LLMs to the humans, currently the LLMs is roughly in a on a toddler level. So it's probably like 4 or 5 years old. In terms of they can like do wonderful calculations for sure. Like 100% agree with this. But in terms of like ability to think, it's still roughly on this level. And again, it's increasing compared to like what we had like 2 years ago. And I think it will push more functionality into play. It will take time, but it will be, by the end of the day, it will be replaced on ability to like ask a specific prompt in the right way, and it will help you to build the more detailed software package, or like whatever you're trying to do. It doesn't really matter at this point. So it could be a software part, or it could be a dive into more art type of things, or like videos, or like wherever you're trying to build there. And again, at some point, it will level up with the humans in terms of the options. And it's a long way to go, but I think we'll get there relatively quick.
How do you align technology roadmaps with overall business strategy? This is a little bit of I'm kind of shifting gears just a little bit here, because I'm interested in how do you guide your business and maybe even potentially your clients? And is there any secrets that you have or tips that you have to align your technology roadmap with your strategy?
First of all, the technology business is always changing. So you need to constantly check and test things. So it's impossible not to have something that you tested and worked for the last 2 years and like enhance this in any way. So this would be a disaster. And a lot of people do this and they run out of jobs, and like they are forced to learn in this way. And I think what we do here differently, we always try to, first of all, hire folks that know what they're doing, but also again, encourage them to try new things and experiment on this, because most likely they will have something that will be required to done differently. So it's not just like, hey, we'll stay with this functionality forever. No, we will not. We will experiment and we'll try new things. We'll fail in most of them. And when we succeed, we'll bring this to the client and say, hey, this is working. Let's try to use this in some POC. And if it's working in POC, let's try to bring this to production. So as example, last year was a lot of POC for AI space. Now it's moving to production. So I think this is really exciting year.
That's cool. What lessons have you learned from tech initiatives that failed to deliver their expected value?
Most likely, the ability to explain to whatever person involved why. Because again, no product will succeed in the software industry if it's iterative and you add new things to the market. Yeah, it's impossible to have like stationary functionality for a long time. So it will be outdated really quickly. But to learn from this, I think that the key here is to have the right communication set up, and just to explain to wherever stakeholders there that failure is a good thing. You're not supposed to implement everything that you're testing. And some people believe like, hey, we tested 10 different tools, we only implemented one. It's bad. It's actually not bad. It's good because you made a right choice and you saw everything that is valuable there. So I think this is the key component. Like, to have a successful technology there, you always keep testing and you always keep trying to build something that will maybe again will live for short period of time in this test environment or like whatever experiment you're running. And after you move it to actual production, you see like, okay, it's actually working, etc. And maybe even if it's moved to production and you see data showing you something that doesn't really do any good, you maybe need to kill it. And it's absolutely normal again to change things on the fly. This is again how the best products build, not just like sticking to whatever approach. It's again, you need to be mindful about having a clear test results, but at the same time, I think it's really important to have the ability to cancel whatever decision you was wrong with and move into a different approach there.
Yeah, that's great. How do you cultivate a culture of innovation and fluency inside of your organization?
First of all, it's hiring the right people that want to experiment and giving them ability to play with things and like kind of like allowing them to spend some time, etc. And also trying to bring their interest in terms of like, hey, we did this test. What do you think about this? And this is new whatever framework and something like, what do you think about this one? Or hey, we deployed a new model. Do you think it's worth testing, etc.? So I think this is like a kind of open discussion in terms of what need to happen within the team and like actually bring this to a conversation about like, hey, should we do this or do this? And again, you should have this ability even in the busiest time, but you can just again lower the time spent on this type of initiatives. But again, a lot of developers or a lot of architects will play with this on their time and just bring us a lot of ideas about like, hey, we want to do this and we tested this, etc. So giving them a functionality, giving them resources to do this is actually what is creating the best functionalities and the best enhancements for any type of projects.
Yeah, I'm curious, what kind of resources have you incorporated to encourage that?
Just giving them resources like server time, for example, like GPU time, so like whatever, and allowing them to run things and fail. So and having a culture that, hey, if it's failed, it's okay. So it's not you. It's not maybe your fault in this case. Maybe it's just a run hypothesis that you tested. So, and this is like okay to explain this to the folks and allowing them to play with things and like understand. Oh, okay, this is not working. Y, X, Y, and Z, etc. So I think this is a key. But also when it comes to actual production environments, you should play this a little bit differently. So you want to collect data and you have a strict process in terms of like how you understanding if it's a right approach or wrong approach.
That's great. So share an experience, or what would you say to folks who are just beginning their journey, whether it be a career in digital arts, a career in software, or just starting maybe a digital transformation or a product build?
I think it's different folks that will have a different needs, but I think that the key I think here is to, if it's someone that's starting early on, as example, so the key here is to actually have the vision about like new things, because in a lot of cases you will see the need from the different people to push the current technology, and maybe you want to bring something new. And again, it's an old saying in software: it's if it's working, don't touch it. And sometimes it's true, especially for old systems. But at the same time, again, if you have the ability to experiment with things, try to learn different ways. Because again, especially a lot of developers now will specifically decide not to use AI and try to be like, we'll do everything on our own, etc. And I mean, they will be out of the job soon. So it's just as simple as it gets. So it's no like surprises. I mean, they can believe that it's not true code, etc. But like, same as like you will not write a modern website using C, so it will be a disaster. And I think this is the same type of examples for the folks that doing like starting digital transformation projects. I think the key here is to really understand, like, if you build things from scratch, if you like look into the company, not the way like, hey, you have the current product and you want to add some technology aspect to this. It could be AI, it could be other type of technology, doesn't even matter. The main question is like, if you build this company tomorrow from scratch, like how you would do this differently and approach from this direction. Because in most cases, you'll need to change a lot of things. And not just to add, sometimes it's just like completely remove some part of the current business that could be automated. And like I saw many examples of digital transformation products when folks had a big team that is basically become useless after the technology implemented. And there's maybe like 50 folks working on this. And it's kind of like complicated decision to make in one decision. But again, from a business perspective, if we can take 50 folks and move them to different roles versus again, and having like a software that maybe again, the cost of running software is much lower. And also the software can do the work like 24/7. So I think this is the key to play this role and look from the early on, like understanding, hey, if we build this whatever type of business, how it will look if we start implementing this from day one, not from like the history. Hey, we did this business for like 50 years and let's add some technology aspect there. So I think this is the key.
Yeah. Well, we've definitely done some of those digital transformations where a large component of the workforce was going to shift. But what we find is that allows them to do other things and primarily focus on the customer more, which in the end supports the underlying business. So rather than doing lots of tedious data entry or digital things, they end up being able to focus on the customer in a greater degree. And, I think as we communicate that, then some of the fear and concern, because in the end, we need the business requirements from those folks that are, whose jobs are being made more efficient. And so that's figuring out how to channel their knowledge about the business into the future software is an essential step. But also getting them to think in this new world where, you won't have to do some of those mundane, detail-oriented things. The software will do that for you so that you can really add value to the business and to the customer.
Absolutely. I love what you're saying. It's a exact thing that is important here because, again, your goal is not to replace the humans with technology. Your goal to give them a tool. It's like same as like when you edit a tractor into agriculture. I mean, you can do this manually with the horses, sure, but like, come on, it's doesn't really do any good.
Yeah, for sure. Awesome. Well, it's been great chatting with you. How should people reach out and contact you?
You can just Google me, or you can go to LinkedIn, Vadim Peskov, and the company website is Diffco.es, and the second company, Adam-Eva.ai. And feel free to contact with me in any way in LinkedIn, Twitter, wherever you prefer.
Awesome. All right, Vadim, thank you for speaking with us, and we wish you the best.
Thank you. It was wonderful being here.
All right, awesome. So yeah, man, thanks for doing this. We will edit this up. It'll probably be ready in a couple of weeks, and we'll let you know so that you can cross-promote it on your socials.
Sure,
and
happy to.
Yeah. And just, if you need, I do CTO advisory
Mhm.
I'm a serial entrepreneur. I've helped 5 businesses build and exit, build, scale, and exit.
Nice.
And our specialty, we're also a software delivery
Mhm.
team. We're 100 people internationally. What we mainly focus on is application modernization and cloud migrations. So we work on like
Mhm.
legacy enterprise solutions. One of the ones we're working on right now was written in COBOL,
Oh my.
about 30 years ago. And we have a process and um, in some cases leverage AI to modernize those legacy application stacks. We also take
Mhm.
legacy monolithic architectures and turn them into microservices. So if you should run across a client that has that kind of demand, we really take a full service view and can completely help you do something like that. And of course, you would earn a commission without having to do as much work. But we have some specialists that that know how to look at those application modernization problems in a unique way. Whereas most consultancies would kind of get slammed with something of that much complexity. Um, we've done about 8 of these, and so we really understand some. We have the scar tissue because we've done about 8 of these. We really know how to look at them differently.
Where are your folks located?
Um, so we have teammates in the U.S., in South America, and then I have a business partner in India.
Mhm.
So we have a good chunk of people in India, but we're
Okay.
really all over the world. Yeah.
Got it. What are the price ranges that you're working typically with?
It depends on geography. It also depends on the complexity of the project. I will say that the average developer cost is about 6,500 per month,
Got it.
which in hourly is about $40 an hour.
Okay. Got it. Okay.
Um,
And
we
yeah,
we
so
also
the project size that you typically work is.
the project size is usually a team of 4 or 5 people.
Mhm. Got it. And it's like 3, 6 months.
No, no. Usually, my average deal span is 48 months.
Ooh, nice. Okay. So let me quickly tell you about our specialties and how we can outline here, because it may be a couple of things that we can bring to the in some partnership options. So first of all, again, I think we're doing a little bit different things, but I like your approach that you work with a lot of legacy stuff, because this is what we not typically will do. I mean, we've done a bunch of them, but at the same time, it's if we have someone that can do this, I mean, well, I will love to send these folks to you. So in terms of the what we are mostly working with, so we do the different complex AI projects and complex development projects, where it will be like maybe 15, 20 plus people. And like 15, 20,000 hours projects during like 6 months, something like this. Um,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, well, these type of scales of the project. Hourly, we at least twice as more expensive, I would say. So like our average is around $90 currently. And I mean, not for US based. US based is typically twice as more expensive, obviously. But if we're talking about all these approaches, we do a lot of like projects, but still we do a lot of augmentations. And like we're primarily focusing on like a lot of augmentations. If it's like complex type of project going forward, so it's it's AI heavy. It's something that we can help with.
Sure.
Especially if they need some kind of compliance, etc. Because I love that you have this cheap workforce options. I think it's great. In our case, primarily again, so it's and this is why I don't think we even like have a direct competition here, to be honest, because like it's completely different approaches, like hiring someone for $40 and hiring someone for like $100. So I think the differences there in place. So it's maybe it could be interesting if you have any like complicated type of project, like hey, we need to develop like a client banking software, etc., and you can do a bunch of like legacy migration, which would be your expertise in this case, and we can bring this a compliance aspect and have maybe US-based folks and all compliance done on the right level. Plus, again, we can add a lot of AI. I mean, I'm not talking about like, hey, using ChatGPT API. I'm talking about like really heavy stuff and enterprise grade stuff for the like machine learning aspects of things.
Sure. Yeah, I think our expertise really resides in like heavy. I have like out of my 100 people, 30 of them are certified AWS. Okay, and perfect. So we just love the DevOps too. So DevOps and this application modernization, cloud migration stuff. That's really where we land. And then I have 4 CEOs that run 4 CTOs that run the business. Okay. And so we help out a lot with strategy, getting investment. We even help a lot with the AWS MAP funding and Azure funding, so that if a lot of times the business, realizes that they need to do the application modernization or the cloud migration, but it's hard to go get the money for it. Really in 100% of the cases that we've interacted with, we've been able to get significant funding from the cloud providers to do the migration. And so it ends up usually being about a 50-50 split, where Amazon or Azure will pay half of the bill. And so they'll get a 50% discount on our already discounted international labor force. So we can make it very affordable to do, a multi-million-dollar project ends up being 500, 800K. Whereas, they would, without our help advising them on how to get this funding, they would typically spend a couple $1,000,000 to do a large scale migration. We're able to get that same amount of work done for, 500, 800K. So there's significant savings. Since we've been doing this and have those relationships with the cloud providers, we can really make it a win-win for everyone.
All of this, I think this is a great point in terms of the options there. So let's keep in mind and let's see what we can do here. If you have most like specific type of request from your side, or if I have anything from my, I can.
Let's keep in touch.
Yeah, so I would, and again, I don't mind like higher rates and having so it's in most cases we'll have some specific region requirements. So we will will not be allowed to work, for example, with India in some cases, with some of our clients. So only can do EU or like can do states. So a lot of times.
Most of my DevOps guys are in the US. A few of them are in Brazil. But yeah, all my leadership is in the US. So my DevOps lead, my data science lead, my software development, all my project managers. I have a great UI UX guy. He's in the US. So we have a good collection of people all over. And I mean, at one point we worked for Raytheon. We know, especially the .gov projects are not going to be, always outsourceable. And we've done some top secret, type of things. And we know we have to have our US folks focus on those. So let's just keep in touch as opportunities come and, see if it makes sense to work together.
Yeah, man, I love this part. So let me know when you will release the podcast and we'll promote this part. And if I will have more specific things, I will shoot the email to you. And feel free again to connect with more specific questions that you have. Because I think, again, we're kind of like playing a different markets here. But at the same time, I think we can add this in the collaboration. and I can bring some value to you folks and like have a project like for 15 folks for you for a year or something like this quite easily probably. We'll keep in mind this. We'll have a couple of things that's close to what you're describing end of May. So maybe it will be worth evaluating this, and typically we'll ask to do like a POC compliance review in there. And if everything is great, we can start shooting you to the clients, and we can have the conversation. So it's great that you mentioned radio. So it's great that you had this experience, because we also do sometimes some tax work with BI and a couple of other folks, which was one thing to do. But at the same time, like we prefer mid-sized enterprises more than like going to the government.
Yeah. And same here. It's painful, but
it's painful.
I use that as a like we have all the insurance requirements and all of that to work with the enterprise client. So I use Raytheon as an example because we had to do a lot to be to have the right compliance posture to be able to work with them. Mm-hmm. So they kind of put us into a different tier of maturity in terms of our certifications and compliance standards.
Okay, sounds good.
All right,
perfect.
Thanks. All right,
Wonderful talking
talk
to
you soon.
See
All
you.
right,
Bye-bye.
Bye.